kids kind of take, and one of them was like, that's a lot of training. I'm like, yeah, you got to train the kids. You can't just go from not doing something to doing it and expect it to go smoothly if you don't teach them those procedures and those routines. And so I was like, but it can be done. And so anyway.
And you did mention earlier that your instructors. I mean, it's every school, right? So. Yeah. But you mentioned earlier that your teachers have access to formal coaching support through your instructional coaches?
Yes, they do.
Okay. And I feel like you answered this earlier as well, but I'll ask the question anyway. To what extent is the professional development tailored to the individualized needs of the instructors?
A lot of the professional development that I've witnessed so far has been more of this is how we want to do, we're going to go through this writing training because this is how the district is going to do this component. However, I have met with the instructional specialist, and we've talked about individual teachers that need help, you know what I mean, and ways in which they need help, and there is that in process of, I'm going to go in and support this, I'm going to go model this lesson for that teacher, and then sit down with them and get some feedback from them and have a conversation. And so just trying to build that capacity, like I said, of trust, where I don't want it to be Mr. Gibson sent that person in there to do that. Eventually I want it to be, man, I really need help with this. And then that person reaches out to that specialist. Hey, can you help me with whatever it is? And then when we get to that point, then we're going to grow. You know what I mean? So that's my goal, is to try to help with the building of that trust, so that teachers do, through conversations and feedback they get from me, want to take initiative to reach out to those. Now, until that happens, I'm gonna make sure it happens for them. It's like, hey, go help this person with this. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I feel like part of my job is helping them realize what they need help with. So,
absolutely. Right, and then a very general question for you here. All right. What are the biggest challenges that face the students enrolled at this school?
That's a good question. At this particular age, to me, the biggest challenge is just being a teenager, a preteen. I mean, that's no different than any other school, but, they kind of lose their minds for a few years at this age. You know what I mean? Or before this, it's like, oh, I want to please, love my teachers, and then after this, they're in high school, they're a little bit more mature, but just going through changes in puberty, I mean, those challenges are tough enough as it is, but I think one of my biggest concerns with kids, not just on this campus, just in general, is just society as a whole, and like social media, and just I just feel like there are a lot of distractions and a lot of things out there that if they don't have that support at home, that can lead them down paths that they can't, So my goal, that are bad for them.
Right.
But my goal, I just want every kid to have an adult up here they can talk to. It doesn't have to be me. I don't care who it is. Just my goal is for every kid to have someone they feel comfortable going to and saying, hey, I need to talk to you about this.
Yeah.
Because I was lucky. My parents are still married for almost 50 years now. You know what I mean? But some of these kids don't even live with their parents. And so, I don't know if that answered the question.
No, it does. Well, it's an interesting question because it is general enough that it's however you conceptualize the challenge, right? So,
okay.
Yeah. And then being a little bit more specific about student challenges, and looking more specifically at educationally disadvantaged and lowest performing students. And so for us, our operational definition for educationally disadvantaged are those who are considered to be at risk of dropping out of school, while we're considering the lowest performing to be those in the bottom 10% in reading and math.
Okay.
So some cross-pollination, but can be separate. So what services does your charter school offer to support those educationally disadvantaged students?
Okay, so educationally disadvantaged, of course, I'm remembering your definition. Hold on just a second, see what all we offer. Our communities and schools, we work, that's an organization that we have on campus all the time. That person is here to help facilitate those particular students with any needs they may have. We spend a lot of time counseling and working with those students up here, just trying to make sure that the necessities are met. You know, if they're hungry, we've got to feed them before we can worry about educating them. You know what I mean? So, making sure that they're getting their needs met as far as necessity goes. I think the staff does a very good job of that. I've had people come forward like, hey, I have a kid that needs this, and everybody else will pitch in and get them whatever they need. Right. So just, I've been very pleased with that in that regard. Got some teachers that have set up brought in some different outside organizations, like when we had our Meet the Teacher night, we had people here for that too, but we also had like a parent conference day. We had a work day that students didn't have to be at work, and parents came up. We reached out to specific parents and scheduled them instead of just, if you just sit around and wait, those parents aren't going to show up. So it was like, guys, get together as a group, because we have some kids, our kids are in cohorts. So get together with your cohort and decide, prioritize your students. This one is the most needy, and then go down from there. And I said, and reach out and get those parents scheduled to come up here. And so one of our teachers even took it a step further. In fact, if I ever got permission to have like a parental liaison type position, I think I would pick this lady. But she took it a step further in that she brought in some organizations from outside, and they set up in the rotunda. So as parents came up, there were organizations that could provide support and things for those particular students. Yeah. So just trying to find out what they need and how get them connected with people that can help them with that. We've made efforts in that regard. So.
Well, and then is there anything different that you do for the lowest performing students? Our intervention, we have common assessments every 3 weeks. So after those common assessments, we're headed this direction, okay? Mm-hmm. After those common assessments as a whole, we spiral stuff back in. But what I'm about to start doing in that time where they have that class where they rotate back at the end of the day, we're about to take that data and disaggregate it to a point where we take those lowest performing students, and whichever teacher performed the best in that particular student expectation, they're going to get those just for that, 30 minutes or 45 minutes. You're going to pull those kids in, work with them on that student expectation, while the students who excelled, the other teacher's going to take them and extend that learning. So more, I guess, differentiated intervention instead of just as a whole, we scored 50% on this, so we're going to...
Pardon this interruption. I need Katie Wilkins Clark for checkout. Katie Wilkins Clark for checkout, please.
Why are we doing that? Little stuff. So anyway, and then differentiating that instruction for those students that maybe need to talk to them in a different way. Right. That's something we're headed in doing. I know a lot of the teachers have already been doing tutorials with students like, hey, come in, in the mornings I'm here, I want you to come in and we'll work on this, where they get individualized attention. So just keeping them on our radar and then trying to bridge that gap from where they are to where we need them to be.
All right. Sounds good. And I think that actually ties nicely into the next question, which is, what methods have you found to be the most effective in closing the gap for educationally disadvantaged students and then closing the gap for the lowest performing students? If you have effective at this point.
Well, I'm 8-9 weeks in, so I'm still learning who those students are, honestly.
Right. Yeah.
but in my past experience, the success I've had is just being intentional. You know what I mean? Being intentional.